John Mercer stared at the monitor, his eyes burning from lack of sleep. The small lunar outpost hummed around him, machines keeping him alive in the vacuum of space. 3 years in this metal box watching the stars was his punishment for questioning orders that got soldiers killed. The signal alert beeped. John frowned and adjusted the frequency. This wasn't the usual Earth chatter. "What the hell?" he muttered, leaning closer. The transmission pattern was unlike anything he'd seen before. Not random noise, but not human either. It pulsed with mathematical precision that made the hairs on his neck stand up. He recorded the signal and ran it through the decoder. Nothing. He tried again with different parameters. Still nothing. On his 5th attempt, fragments appeared on screen. Coordinates, fleet positions, attack vectors. John's heart raced. He sent an urgent message to Earth Command. "Unknown transmission detected. Possible hostile intent. Request immediate analysis." The reply came quickly. "Signal verified as diplomatic communication from Vexari Dominion. First contact established yesterday. Stand down, Mercer." John stared at the response. First contact? Yesterday? And nobody told him? He pulled up news feeds. Earth celebrated. The Vexari ambassadors smiled with too many teeth in their blue-gray faces. Politicians shook hands with the aliens who promised technology and peace. But the transmission John intercepted told a different story. He worked through the night, breaking more of the code. The Vexari weren't here for peace. The signal contained battle plans, invasion coordinates. Earth was the target. John sent another warning with his findings. No response. He tried again, marking it urgent. Nothing. Damn it! He slammed his fist on the console. They were ignoring him. The disgraced strategist crying wolf. The outpost shook suddenly. Warning lights flashed red. John stumbled to the viewport and froze. Earth's orbital defense stations were exploding one by one, bright flashes against the blackness. Massive ships emerged from hyperspace, their hulls gleaming like wet metal under Earth's sun. The Vexari had arrived with their real fleet. John's emergency channel crackled to life with panicked voices. "They're everywhere. Orbital defense grid is down. Eastern seaboard is hit. Millions dead." John grabbed his emergency pack and ran for the escape pod. The outpost rocked again as something hit the lunar surface nearby. He downloaded the decoded transmissions to his portable drive. This was evidence. This showed Vexari weaknesses, their attack patterns, their technology. The escape pod door sealed with a hiss. John strapped in as the launch sequence started. Through the small window, he watched more Vexari ships appear, their weapons turning toward the moon. The pod ejected with a violent jerk. John was thrown against his restraints as the small craft accelerated away from the doomed outpost. A flash of light behind him. The lunar station was gone. John's pod tumbled through space, its emergency beacon silent to avoid detection. He stabilized the small craft and looked back toward Earth. The blue planet was wrapped in fire. Orbital stations fell like burning meteors. Vexari ships formed a net around the planet, methodically destroying humanity's defenses. John clutched the data drive in his fist. His knuckles turned white. They had ignored his warning, but he still had the information. He knew how the Vexari thought, how they fought, their weaknesses. "They think we'll just die," he whispered, watching his world burn. "But they don't know humans yet." The escape pod's engines hummed as it carried him into the darkness, away from Earth but not from the fight. Not from what would come next. 6 months after Earth burned, John Mercer stood in the cramped war room of Titan Base. The hidden facility, buried under the icy surface of Saturn's largest moon, housed what remained of humanity's military command. "Your plan is suicide," Commander Allison Reeves said, her face hard in the blue light of the holographic display. She had a fresh scar across her cheek, a reminder of her narrow escape from Earth. "We're already dying," John replied. 6 months of running and hiding. How many bases have we lost this week? The room fell silent. Everyone knew the answer. 3 outposts, over 2,000 survivors. John pointed to the display showing the quantum displacement device. "This technology can get us inside their ships. We can hit them where they don't expect. It's never been tested in combat, said Lieutenant Kyle Dawson, arms crossed over his chest. And we have one prototype. Which is why I'll lead the mission myself, John said. Commander Reeves studied him. You've been right about the Vexari before, when no one listened. The door to the war room slid open. A young soldier rushed in, face pale. Commander, we have a problem. Communications just picked up Vexari signals. They're closing in on our position. Alarms blared through the base. Red emergency lights flashed in the corridors. How did they find us? Reeves demanded. John's mind raced. Someone told them we have a traitor. Reeves grabbed the base-wide comm. All personnel, emergency evacuation protocol. This is not a drill. The room erupted into motion. Officers rushed to stations shouting orders. John followed Reeves to the command center where screens showed Vexari ships approaching Titan. We need that quantum device, John said. It's our only chance. Reeves nodded. Take Dawson and a small team. Get to Hangar B, there's a scout ship ready. I'll have the device brought there. John grabbed her arm. What about you? I'll lead the evacuation. Most of our people can escape if we give them time. John knew what that meant. She was staying behind. Allison? That's an order, Mercer. Now go. John ran through the shaking corridors with Dawson and 3 soldiers. The base trembled as the first Vexari weapons hit the surface above. They reached Hangar B as a technician arrived with the quantum device, a silver cylinder the size of a small backpack. It's set for 1 jump, the tech explained, handing it to John. The power core will only last about 12 hours once activated. A massive explosion rocked the base. Lights flickered. They're inside the perimeter, Dawson said, checking his tablet. We have minutes, maybe less. John led the team to the scout ship, a sleek vessel designed for speed and stealth. As they boarded, the hangar doors began to close. Wait, John said, watching a figure run toward them through the smoke-filled hangar. It was Commander Reeves, blood streaming from a wound on her forehead. Change of plans, she gasped, climbing aboard. The evacuation ships are away, but I found something. She held up a data chip. Intercepted Vexari communications. They're taking orders from someone else. The ship's engines roared to life as Dawson took the controls. They shot out of the hangar just as explosions tore through the base behind them. In orbit, they watched Titan base collapse in flames. Vexari ships swarmed like angry insects. Set course for the Vexari scout patrol near Europa, John said. We're going to steal one of their ships. That's insane, Dawson said. That's the plan, John replied. They won't expect us to attack. The ship accelerated away from Titan, hiding in Saturn's rings before making the jump to Jupiter space. None of them saw the small tracking device blinking under their ship's hull, planted by hands that looked human but served another master. The stolen Vexari scout ship hummed with alien energy as John studied the strange symbols on the command console. Their mission to capture the vessel had succeeded, but at a cost. 2 of their team were dead. Only John, Reeves, and Dawson remained. Can you read any of this? Reeves asked, her voice tight with pain from the wound in her side. Some, John replied. The patterns match fragments I decoded back at the lunar outpost. Dawson returned from the ship's lower deck. I found something. You need to see this. They followed him to a chamber filled with glowing data cores. In the center stood a holographic display showing hundreds of worlds, each marked with symbols. Look at this, Dawson said, pointing to one symbol that appeared repeatedly. It's on every conquered world. John touched the symbol. The display changed, showing a new image that made them all step back. Towering beings of light and shadow. Not Vexari. Something older. Something worse. The architects, a voice said behind them. They spun around, weapons raised. A Vexari stood in the doorway, hands raised in surrender. Its blue-gray skin was marked with scars, one eye replaced with a cybernetic implant. I am Nexar, chief scientist of this vessel, it said in halting English. I have been waiting for humans to find this truth. Why should we trust you? Reeves demanded, her gun aimed at the alien's head. Because I know who betrayed your base on Titan, Nexar replied. The same ones who betrayed my people centuries ago. The Vexari moved slowly to the console and expanded the hologram. The architects found my species 500 years ago. They promised knowledge. Instead, they enslaved us, altered our minds, made us their weapons. The display showed planet after planet falling to Vexari forces. But why Earth? John asked. Why humans? Your DNA, Nexar said. Humans carry genetic markers the architects fear. You were meant to be destroyed long ago, but somehow survived. Genetic markers? Dawson looked skeptical. Your ability to adapt, to resist control, to fight when logic says surrender. Nexar touched another control. The architects are not conquerors. They are collectors. They harvest species with useful traits and discard the rest. The hologram showed a massive structure hidden in Jupiter's clouds. Their control nexus, Nexar explained. From there, they monitor this sector of the galaxy. John studied the structure. If we destroy it? The Vexari would be freed from control. The invasion would stop. Reeves looked at John. The quantum displacement device. We could use it to get inside. Yes, Nexar agreed. But we must move quickly. I disabled the ship's tracking system, but they will notice soon. John activated the ship's communication array. We need to warn the remaining human outposts, tell them what we've learned. As he worked, Nexar moved beside him. There is something else you should know. The architects have agents everywhere. Some look Vexari, some look human. Shapeshifters? Dawson asked. No, converted. Their minds rewritten, their bodies enhanced. They believe they serve a greater purpose. John finished the transmission and sent it to all known human frequencies. Message away. Now we plan our attack on the Nexus. The ship suddenly lurched, alarms blaring. We're being scanned, Dawson shouted from the pilot's seat. The main screen flickered, showing a massive vessel approaching. Not Vexari design. Something ancient and terrible. Architect ship, Nexar whispered, fear in his alien voice. The scanner beam intensified. The ship's systems began to shut down one by one. They found us, Reeves said. No, Nexar replied, backing away from John with growing horror. They were already with us. John felt a strange sensation in his mind, like fingers sifting through his thoughts. Memories he didn't recognize began to surface. He looked down at his hands. On his wrist, barely visible beneath his sleeve, a small symbol glowed with the same light as the architect hologram. John? Reeves asked, seeing his expression change. I think, John said slowly, his voice suddenly unfamiliar even to himself. I might be the traitor. John fell to his knees as pain shot through his head. The glowing symbol on his wrist burned like fire. Memories crashed into his mind. Memories that weren't his. Restrain him, Reeves ordered, her gun now pointed at John. Dawson hesitated. Commander, it's Mercer. Do it now. As Dawson moved forward, John's body acted on its own. His hand grabbed Dawson's arm, twisted, and threw the man across the room. John watched in horror as his body moved without his control. I can't stop it, he gasped, fighting against himself. Nexar rushed to a panel on the wall and pressed several symbols. The ship has anti-architect protocols. If I can activate them, the architect vessel outside fired. The stolen scout ship rocked violently. Sparks flew from consoles. Inside John's mind, a voice spoke. Not human, not Vexari, ancient and cold. You were our perfect tool, John Mercer. Isolated, disgraced, positioned to gain the humans' trust. John screamed as he fought against the presence in his mind. Get out! Reeves fired her weapon, the stun blast hitting John in the chest. He collapsed but remained conscious, the architect control momentarily disrupted. The quantum device, John managed to say through gritted teeth. Use it on me. It could kill you, Reeves said. Better than being their puppet, do it. Nexar grabbed the quantum displacement device and adjusted its settings. This will target the architect neural implant. It might free him. Another blast from the architect ship hit them. The lights failed, emergency systems activating with a red glow. Hurry, Dawson urged, picking himself up from the floor. Nexar placed the device on John's chest and activated it. Blue energy coursed through John's body. He convulsed. back arching in agony. The symbol on his wrist flared bright, then shattered like glass. John collapsed, gasping. "John." Reeves knelt beside him. "It's me," he said weakly. "They're gone, but I remember everything now." He struggled to his feet. "They didn't just control me. They gave me knowledge. I know how to destroy the Nexus." The ship shuddered again. "We're being pulled in," Dawson reported from the controls. "Tractor beam." Through the view screen, they watched as the massive architect vessel swallowed their small ship into its hangar bay. "We need weapons," Reeves said. "No," John replied. "We need to surrender." "Have you lost your mind?" "Trust me. The architects want me alive. They want to know how I broke free. That's our way in." When the hangar doors opened, they stood with hands raised. Tall figures in flowing robes approached, their faces hidden behind masks of shifting light. "I am Vossith, emissary of the architects," one said, its voice resonating in their minds rather than their ears. "You have damaged our property, John Mercer." "I was never your property," John replied. The emissary tilted its head. "Curious. You were selected carefully. Your mind was compatible with our enhancements." "Take us to your command center," John demanded. "I want to speak to whoever's in charge." "Bold for a primitive species that was scheduled for extinction centuries ago," the emissary said. "A clerical error that will soon be corrected." They were led through corridors of impossible geometry, spaces that seemed to fold in on themselves. Reeves, Dawson, and Nexar followed, surrounded by guards. John felt the quantum device hidden against his back, reconfigured by Nexar before their capture. One shot at the Nexus core was all they needed. They entered a vast chamber. In its center floated a being of pure energy, tendrils of light extending outward like a web connecting to thousands of points across the galaxy. "The Prime Architect," Vossith announced. "The collector of species, the harvester of potential." The being's attention focused on John, its light intensifying. "You should not exist," a voice boomed in their minds. "Humanity was removed from our equations long ago." John stepped forward, feeling the weight of Earth's destruction, of billions of lives lost. "Then your math was wrong," he said, reaching for the device. "And we're about to break your calculator." 3 weeks after the attack on the Architect Nexus, Commander Reeves stood at the viewport of the new human command center on Mars. The red planet's surface was dotted with construction lights as survivors built their new home. "Commander," a young communications officer called, "we're picking up a signal. It's faint, but the pattern matches nothing in our database." Reeves hurried to the console. "Source? Deep space beyond Jupiter." The signal strengthened, breaking through static. A voice emerged, distorted but recognizable. "Reeves, can you hear me? It's John." The command center fell silent. Everyone believed John Mercer had died when he detonated the quantum device at the heart of the Architect Nexus. The explosion had torn a hole in space-time, destroying the control center and freeing the Vexari from Architect control. "John?" Reeves leaned toward the speaker. "How is this possible?" "The quantum displacement didn't kill me," his voice crackled. "It sent me somewhere else, their home dimension." Dawson entered the command center, stopping when he heard John's voice. "Are you sure it's him?" he asked Reeves quietly. She nodded. "Run verification anyway." The signal strengthened as technicians locked onto the frequency. "I found their source," John continued. "The architects aren't just collectors, they're prisoners." A data stream accompanied his voice, showing images that appeared on the main screen. Vast structures floating in a sea of energy, technology beyond human understanding. "Billions of years ago, they were imprisoned here by another species," John explained. "A species that saw what they were doing to the galaxy and stopped them." "Who imprisoned them?" Reeves asked. "That's the thing," John replied, his voice clearer now. "The genetic markers the architects feared in humans, they're not random. They're signatures. Humanity didn't evolve naturally on Earth. We were seeded there." The command center erupted in shocked whispers. "We're descendants of the jailers," John continued. "The architects have been trying to eliminate us for thousands of years. Every time they found us, they wiped us out. But some always survived. We always came back. Dawson studied the data streaming in. These energy readings are off the charts. What are we looking at? The prison walls are weakening, John said. The architects have been working for eons to break free. When they do, they'll return to our galaxy in force. What we faced before was just their influence leaking through. How do we stop them? Reeves asked. We don't stop them. We replace them. John's voice grew stronger. I've found the original prison controls, the technology that keeps them contained. It responds to our DNA. It was made for us to use. The screen showed John standing before a massive control interface, his hands touching symbols that glowed at his touch. I can open a gateway from this side, he said, but I need humans here to take control, to become what we were always meant to be. Guardians, Reeves whispered. Yes, the galaxy needs guardians again. Reeves looked at Dawson, then at the officers around her. The survivors of Earth, the remnants of humanity. How many people do you need? She asked. As many as will come, John replied. This isn't just about stopping the architects. It's about taking our place in the galaxy. On the screen, John stepped back from the controls. Behind him, a portal began to form, a swirling gateway between dimensions. I'm sending coordinates for the Jupiter anomaly, he said. That's where our dimensions touch, where you can cross over. Reeves straightened her uniform and faced her officers. Prepare all ships, she ordered. Contact the Vixari allies. We're not running anymore. The portal on the screen stabilized, showing a glimpse of the world beyond. A world of incredible power and ancient purpose. The architects broke our world, John said, his figure silhouetted against the light of a different universe. Now we break their chains. Reeves nodded to her communications officer. Send the message to all human outposts. We're going through.